Good evening once again, one and all, to another Sunday racing with the VRCC at the MX-5 Supercup for round 3 at Croft Circuit in England. It's good to see you all again. It's been a couple of weeks since I did this due to having a COVID jab right at the time when I think race 1 was meant to start. So I apologise to all of you for missing last week. But I am all jabbed up now and returning once again this Sunday for the Pro Series, for the Pro Lobby, once again for the MX-5s. We have a couple of little things just to tidy up. So we do have some people missing, unfortunately, from tonight's race. Alex Jameson, Nick Bailey and Cole Barnes, I think, are going to be missing tonight's race. So we're 3 down. But we still have a full grid of about 17 drivers at the moment. Currently, they're beginning qualifying. So yes, let's have a look. After a couple of weeks, couple of races, we have some race results. We have some points to look at, and at the moment, with 112 points, leading the championship is Ben Abbott. Who put in a fantastic result at the first couple of races. So it was race 1 and 2 wins at Donington, and then race 1 and 2 wins again at the Beluga Circuit in Italy, and then a 3rd place as well. And that has allowed him to maintain a fairly comfortable lead over his closest rival, Charlie Heath. So Ben Abbott, one of the brothers for Abbott Motorsport, I believe, and then Charlie Heath for AGL Motorsport as well. 10-point gap as we round out 1/3 of the season so far. So we had a little bit of a break, and then back at it again for Croft, down in 3rd in the championship on 96 points. You can see 16 points behind Tom O'Farrell. Who managed to claim a 3rd place last weekend, or the weekend in Italy. Nathan Birch in 4th place there for 939 course on 69 points, 43 behind the leader. Joshua Brown sits in 5th in championship. Joint 58 points with Alexander Rhodes for AGR Motorsport. Daniel Abbott, the other brother there, sliding down the order a little bit, because I believe at the beginning of the season they were fairly close on circuit for a fair bit. So 4th place in race 2 at Donington. Looks like he's had a little bit of trouble the race 1 and 2 last weekend, or the last round, sorry. So yes, he's got a little bit of work to do to climb up the order. And then we have Alex Jameson in 8th place on 53 points, but we are going to be missing him this round, so that's going to affect his results. Roy Grassi, Scotsman, another AGL Motorsport driver on joint 53 points as well. And then Arn, beg your pardon, I'm going to get this wrong, Arnud Striker in 10th place, rounding out the top 10 on the championship on 47 points. As mentioned before, we are now in round 3 at Croft today, and then we are in Poland for round 4. Then we still have Snetterton and Laguna Seca to look forward to. And then we also have our streamers. If you ever get bored of my perspective or want to have a look at some other races performance throughout the season, we have Alexander Rhodes on Twitch with his perspective, Trev Hummer, as well, Aaron Large for the Pro Lobby, and then we have Chris Callahan, Benjamin Oates, Will Harper, Thorsten Yeager, and Alistair Pollock on their various So they're all Twitch streamers with their perspectives of their racing. So it's very exciting stuff to see their points of view and how the different driving styles between the two and how they all do. We have also gained one more competitor as well. So there was a little bit of a shuffle between the Pro and Am lobbies. And Brendan Van Eden, very competitive driver in the VTCCs before, has joined the Pro lobby once again. So we will now join them for qualifying and see what's going on the circuit now. 20-minute qualifying sessions, and then race 1, 20 minutes again. Race 2, another 20 minutes, and then race 3. Beg your pardon, the finishing positions for race 1. Donate the starting order for race 2, another 20 minutes. And then race 3 is another 20 minutes, but the top 8 positions swap places. So let's have a look at what everyone is doing in qualifying. And as you can see, let's make sure you can hear this slightly loud, I believe. Let's just bring that down to a more acceptable level. There we are. So as you can see, after 9 minutes of qualifying, just about to round out the top, just about to run into the last half, we have Ben Abbott once again showing force, showing pace, and potentially controlling the racing from the off, just as he comes through the first corner there to start another lap. That being the Hawthorne Bend going through now, or just the chicane into the Hawthorne Bend, with a 1:33.341 to give it the entire time there. But you can see Charlie Heath again. It's a repeat from the first two races. It's Abbott and Heath battling it out for the championship. Just outside, a shade outside of a second. So Ben Abbott seems to have the magic formula for Croft, and is to be an entire second quicker than pretty much the entire field. It's incredible at this stage. So let's see. So Charlie Heath still has 10 minutes to try and close that gap down. To see what his performance is going to be like. Where is he? He is currently again. You can see the AJR livery coming through Hawthorne Bend as well. Through the chicane, rather, after Hawthorne Bend. A little bit of traffic to contend with, so he's going to struggle a little bit, I think, to get through, to get around the traffic and get a good time in. He's going to need a bit more clear air, I think. As said, that's not going to help. Is that, I think that's someone getting out the way of him a little bit. I'm not sure who that was in front of him. It's going to be a little bit difficult to find. I need to learn everyone's names once again. But, yeah, actually, Charlie Heath, as we saw him in traffic, Gavin Ranson now, a teammate in the AGR team, putting in a very, very good time, running 1:34. So he's got a little bit of time to push. Tom O'Farrell in 4th. Who is that? Joshua Brown jumping up the order as well into 5th place. That was good time that he's put in, 1.1 seconds. Tom O'Farrell putting in another good time as well. So it's all happening in the order. They're trying to close in on Mr. Abbott's time, but it's still in the motorsport world. 0.8 of a second is a huge gap to have over your competitors. As well, Brendan Van Eden, I think, joining back in, having some technical issues there. Toby Owen, series leader as well. Not put in a time yet, whether he's got technical issues as well. Having to organise the entire series, I think, has fun in the races, but isn't able to put in quite as much as practice as the rest of the chaps are. It's a little bit wide, I think, just trying to warm up the tyres a little bit at Tower Bend behind an AGR car, but so many I didn't know which one that is. Stu Neal decided just to admire one of the stewards' cars in the car park there. Mr. Striker just running on the outside, not getting in the way of anyone on their quick, on their flying lap. As we watch Joshua Brown, but yeah, it looks like, yeah, it's some incredible times coming in at the moment. I am the sole commentator this evening for the Pro Lobby, as Mr. Chris Buxton is now commentating on the AM Lobby as well. So we have the AM side on his channel for tonight that you can go and watch how their races go down, which should be very exciting. Charlie Heath now within a second, I see. Very close to Mr. Ranson's time. Has a little bit of work to put in to get that down even further. Alex Rhodes in 5th. That's very good. Who's that? That's Mr. Neil has spun the car, but it's going. That's gonna be a right of a time. So that's after Tower Bend as well. Looks like it's a little bit tricky for some people to get going. The other Abbott brothers struggling a little bit, continuing on the season. Had a very, very good pace at Donington. Italy was it appears he struggled from the finishing position that he had. Have we got, there was someone who was actually had a very good time in Donington but did drop out of Italy. Who is that? Timon Bramley, I believe. Do we have him? Has he joined us this evening? Doesn't look like he is. He was quite an interesting one to watch at Donington, but DNF'd at Italy. Did race 1 and then DNF'd after that. So whether there's a issue with his internet, it looks like he's in Australia, so quite a time difference for him. Roy Grassi there just on the exit of the last hairpin, entrance to the last hairpin on the circuit. Trev Hummer putting in decent time, 2.5 seconds off the pace. AM Lobby VTCC champion, getting to grips with the AC platform, and I'm sure getting fantastic tutoring from his mentors in the AJR team. Mr. Abbott going even quicker by the looks of it. It's pushed the times of Gavin Ranson and Charlie Heath outside of a second once again. It was very much on the line where they were. 5 minutes of qualifying remaining. As we watch Mr. Alexander Rhodes down the main straight, let's see what his lap times look like. There's a variety of lines going through that sort of hairpin as well. It's a bit of a blind bend to try and see as you're turning in. As Mr. Abbott pulls aside, let's Mr. Rhodes through. But yeah, it's a very blind bend to look. It doesn't look like you need to cut the inside of the hairpin quite so much to get a good time. I think also the exit is a lot more important as you've got such a long straight to the climb. Jim Clark S's Bearcroft, and then the Sunny Inn. But Alex it's always had a very quick style. Does race an MX-5 in real life, so it's going to be a very comfortable car for him to drive. Tight on the exit, tries to get a good run as possible. Slightly slower sectors by the looks of it for him, but what's this latest time done? It's a good time. It's a very good time. Very good time there, jumping up 2 places on the grid. So now sits on the second row. Behind Tom O'Farrell and Mr. Abbott there. So currently sitting a bit further down the championship, but that's certainly going hopefully a sign of good things to come for him. Going even quicker as well. That's going to have, if he can keep up the pace, that's going to have a knock-on effect on his first sectors going into the next lap. But he does have traffic ahead of him. At the pace he's got, he might end up catching up on them. Can't see what time that is. That is a 50. car down with a 5. I believe. No, not there. A little battle going on as well with the cars in front. That is, it looks like Toby's car actually. It does, it is Toby Owen's car. Being hounded very much by, I'm not sure who that was, an orange competitor. Not Cohen de Groot. I'm not entirely sure who that is, but that's going to affect Alex's line going into the final sectors, as does our mystery car. Pulls to the side a little bit. Still not sure quite who it is. Toby Owen with a time on the board. Will that improve? Although he's had a bit of a headache with someone desperately trying to get past. Does improve on his time. Alex Rhodes does not. So that battle in front of him that he had to deal with, as he a very wide exit, and that's going to throw him wide at the first turn as well. So that's going to be a write-off for that lap for Alex as well. Unfortunately, a very good time sits on the second row with one of his teammates next to him, Mr. Ranson, Daniel Abbott. Not Daniel Abbott, sorry, the other brother. Ben Abbott, unchallenged at the moment. People are getting closer to his times. People are starting to find the times in the circuit. Struggling a little bit. Brendan Van Eden, notably the new, was originally an AM lobby, and an AM competitor, has moved to the pro class. Put in a very good time, 14th on the grid at the moment. The other brother, Daniel Abbott, improving on his time, bringing himself up to the third row of the grid. Striking red car there. That's a spin. Who is that behind? Wasn't sure who that was. That was Stu Neal, showing us the slightly wrong way to get round Hawthorne. No doubt, very quick on the entry, and just lost the back end as the car over-rotated on him, and unable to catch it. Very light cars, so if it starts to go, you've maybe got a moment to be able to catch it, and then it's gone. We have the last 30 seconds of the qualifying session remaining before we get into race 1, and it looks like your grid is going to be Mr. Abbott and then Tom O'Farrell. I say again, it all changes. You can't count until the fat lady sings. Charlie Heath now jumps all the way up, found the time in the last dying seconds of qualifying, and that's it. It's call it quits. Has done enough. He's done all he can, and that's brings himself off the circuit, I'm sure, to go back in the pits. Tom O'Farrell has called it as well. Gavin Ranson all improved upon the time. And Alex Rhodes on a quick time, on a purple sector, but has been pushed down the order once again to the third row. And is in contention, possibly with Daniel Abbott. So they've swapped around a bit. Ben Abbott has called it quits as well for his qualifying efforts. Let's have a look. Let's just see what Alexander, one of the remaining top 10 competitors on his last qualifying session, comes through the complex, finds the hairpin, takes a wide line, tries to slingshot it out the other side, gets on the power, calls it quits. Doesn't decide to improve on his time. Knew that middle sector actually, you can see, was a little bit off what it was. And he is now going to have to settle for the third row of the grid as we see Aaron Large weaving the car over the line. So a few people still on their qualifying just to end. Mr. Binsbergen, I think, won the last one. He's the last one. Aaron Large. Yeah, Aaron Large is about to end his session. And Jay Van Binsbergen ending up in 15th. 15th place, you can see. So there we are. It is going to be a very exciting session. They're already getting competitive, as you can see in qualifying. They were getting feisty out there. So it is looking like we have... Let me just wait for all the times to finalise themselves. Some of them still in the lobby at the moment. I don't think there's going to be much change there. So it looks like your first 5 rows are going to be Ben Abbott and Charlie Heath. Row 2 will be Tom Farrell and Gavin Ranson. Row 3 will be Alexander Rhodes and Daniel Abbott. Row 4, Joshua Brown and Arnoud Stryker. And row 5, Stu Neal and Alex Richardson, who we didn't see much of in the qualifying. The speeds we're looking at roughly 111 miles an hour down the longest straight that we can see on our 2.127 mile circuit. That the is fairly technical. The slipstreams are going to pay off, I think, a little bit down the. We've got some long straights to contend with, and then heavy braking going through a few of the hairpins as you switch back and come back on yourselves roughly 3 or 4 times on the circuit as well, so it should be fairly interesting. We are just getting the lobbies reset for race 1. Don't go any... Have they reset already? Possibly? If they have, we'll jump straight on. We'll wait for everyone to get going. But I hope you all had a good week. In the meantime, looks like we are just about ready to go. But yes, Ben Abbott, very comfortable with his pace and showing some very good technique on this circuit as well. So he's able to turn his hand to Donington and Beluga in Italy very well. So yes, we're going to get the servers reset, and we'll be back very, very shortly. Welcome back to the MX-5 Cup, organised by the Virtual Racing Car Club in conjunction with Positive Perception. We have our Race 1 grid all set up and ready to go. Ben Abbott and Charlie Heath line up on row 1, as you can see. If it will allow me to go through the grid, we can see... we only have one grid 1 and 2, but yeah, on the inside line going into turn 1, which is going to be quite a tricky one, it looks like, for the competitors to get on with. We have Ben Abbott. Everyone is raring to go. 20 drivers line up, a full 20 grid for this evening. It's going to be a very exciting one. If the first 2 rounds are anything to go by, there's going to be a lot of action throughout the grid. They're all very competitive drivers, and championship points on offer, and Ben Abbott has it all to lose at the moment, so he's going to want to get the best start he can. 20 minutes of race 1, and then the ending, the results from this race will then be their starting positions for race 2. So if you're in a heated battle at the end of this race, that might well continue into race 2 after they've had a moment just to breathe in the interim, as we just count down the final few moments until the race. You can almost feel the tension building up slightly on the grid as the drivers are ready to go. We have our 6 red lights on the gantry now. The engine notes begin to rise. Everyone's raring to go. The lights go out and we are away. It's a strange start at the back of the grid, but watching at Charlie Heath, a fantastic start. Already contending first, next side by side as he dropped back a little bit slightly, but Ben Abbott will have it going into the first corner. Can everyone get through? We're just going to check. There's people running wide. There's a lot of cars trying to fit through a tiny space, but they all managed to get through. Apart from Cohen de Groot pushed out a little bit, and I think... Sorry, Stefan de Groot, beg your pardon, and Cohen de Groot at the back there. But Ben Abbott has it. Already pulling out half a second lead over Charlie Heath, who is under pressure from Tom O'Farrell going through the hairpin. Through one of the hairpins out the back of the circuit, the Tower Bend, beg your pardon. Side by side, Alex Jameson looks like in the background. Under pressure from Daniel Abbott. Daniel Abbott trying the outside. Nearly lost the back end of the car, it looks like. Lost a bit of speed. He's trying to find any gap he can down the back. But they're very, very tidy through the first lap of the course. Very well done to everyone. Who is that? There's contact at the back, and Roy Grassi has come off a cropper. Looks like Trev Hummer, or he made contact with Trev Hummer at that point. Not entirely sure who's initiated that, but they've all suffered a little bit as both the groups, I think, gain a place at the back, but Roy Grassi and Trev Hummer joined as a spin at the back. Who was that? Was that Tom O'Farrell? No, that was Daniel Abbott, the brother that I think, did he over-rotate on the exit on his own? He was chasing Alexander and was trying to find an opening, but unfortunately has spun and has dropped down several places at the back. He's going to be on a recovery drive now as we just joined to Joshua Brown, and I think that's probably the definition of commentator's curse. Clicked on his name and made him spin. But at Hawthorne Bends again lost the back of the car. Very bumpy there, and fortunately suspension and setup not quite soft enough to cater for that, and he has spun as well. As we see at the front of the grid, Charlie Heath and Tom O'Farrell mere seconds apart. That was Gavin Ranson on the outside, loses the back end of the car over the bumps in the grass, rejoins fairly safely, but is all the way down in 9th, 10th now, and is going to lose another place as well to down into 11th. So just on the exit, ran slightly wide, hit the grass, and then it was spinning from there. Where was the battle? Unfazed with Charlie Heath and Tom O'Farrell. Tom O'Farrell looking at the outside. He's going to try and get a manoeuvre done or switch back in as they go through the complex. tries to switch back, but he's being forced on the outside by Charlie Heath, defending well. Hairpin knows a very, very big corner to try and defend from. Tomo Farrell follows him through. No issues at all. And they begin another lap of the race. Lap 3, I think it must be now. Everyone putting in their best times now. What is happening at the back? We have Joshua Brown getting past Gavin Ranson. Gavin Ranson coming cropper even more. Must be damage on his car as well. He's having to contend with after such a huge shunt. Both the Groots battling for position at the back. Trev Hummer as well at the back of the grid, carrying on valiantly. It's good to see. But Ben Abbott really pulling out all the stops now. 2 seconds over Charlie Heath, who's busy trying to defend Tomo Farrell. Tomo Farrell falling back slightly, I think, just gathering himself up, I think. Not to overcook the car or outdrive the car in the background. Looks like there's multiple movement at the back. Toby Owen getting up a position. Roy Grassi losing out even more places as well. Toby Owen and Javen Binsbergen trying to get around him as well. Couldn't quite do it on that on the exit of Tower Bend. But he's going to be chasing him down. So Roy Grassi contending with a very, very hurt car after that to be losing this much pace. Let's have a look. Alexander Rose gained a position in Roy Grassi's unfortunate incident there. Now it's put to 4th. So capitalise on the bad luck of his competitor there. We have Arnoud Stryker in 5th, falling back a little bit from the quicker drivers, but there's a good pace over Alex Richardson, who's in number 88 car. And then it looks like a little bit of a queue building up. So Stu Neal, Nathan Birch, Aaron Large, weaving the car back left and right. You don't want to be doing that too many times. You're going to be losing a massive amount of speed, which Aaron Large has. Who are we looking at? Aaron Large, who's actually got Daniel Abbott on his tail, rather. Daniel Abbott now on a recovery drive, gets up the inside, very clean manoeuvre, outbrakes Aaron Large into Tower Bend. Has to push him wide a little bit to hold on to it, but does gain that position very cleanly. Elbows out, but a very clean manoeuvre. Got 2 battling cars as well, Neil and Birch. He said they were going to be competitive drivers. They're starting to turn themselves up to 11. That was a very early turn in, I think, by Stu Neal trying to cover off the inside. Nathan Birch, I think, has got a little bit more pace on him. Mr. Abbott in the background, not comfortably away from Aaron Large. Aaron Large trying to get that position back. So several 2-car battles. That was such a dart to the outside of the circuit to try and cover off Aaron Large's advance from Daniel Abbott there. But lots of 2-car battles happening through the grid as well. Gavin Ranson has gained a few positions, so there may have been some. Oh, it's Grassi. Sorry, Ranson down in 12th with the poorly car. Joshua Brown in 13th, trying to get round him. Roy Grassi in 14th, Radio our competitor, and Toby Owen behind him. Looks like at the front, though, with over a quarter of the race run, Daniel Abbott is just storming away. 3.5 seconds now separate him and Charlie Heath. So Ben Abbott, beg your pardon, doing a fantastic job in that car. Just seems to know the circuit so well, and has gained so much time on the competitors. He's going to be a very, very difficult man to beat. The only chance the others have, I think, are going to be in the reverse grid race. But even then, he can certainly get through the pack. Tomo Farrell has fallen behind a little bit. I think he had a massive charge on Charlie Heath. Whether he's just saving the car until the very end, if he doesn't want to fall too far behind, otherwise Alex Rhodes is going to be trying to gain that position. Stu Neal has been turned around at the last hairpin. He was battling with... picks up that position very quickly against Tejas Kapatika. I apologise if I'm saying that wrong. I do need to be informed of how the correct pronunciations are occasionally. But car number 12 under pressure. That was a very wide line from Stu Neal. Seems a little bit unsettled after that spin. Lost the car a little bit coming through. Now coming through Hawthorne, beg your pardon. Forcing his way back onto the track a little bit. Very heated at the moment. Potentially the stewards might want to just speak to him about that forcefulness he has. And he's now cut in between car number 12 and car number 55, Mr. Ranson. Brown just holding on to the back of the car there on the exit of Tower Bend, I think hoping to capitalise on this this battle now ensuing up front. Mr. Ranson really wants to try and get round him. Looking to outbrake car number 14. Not quite. Ranson can't quite get round. Falls back a little bit. But I think if Stu Neal can't settle down slightly, I think he's going to end up overdriving himself a little bit, but has held off Mr. Ranson's advances. Mr. Ranson has the slipstream going down the main straight after the complex. On his tail, but can't get the manoeuvre done. Lap 6 now. Daniel Large gets around Daniel Abbott. Daniel Abbott running very wide through Hawthorne. Trying to come back at him. Has a bit of pace. Managed to cut back. Can he recover that position back by the time they get to Tower Bend? He can indeed. Aaron Large still has the inside line a little bit. Daniel Abbott leaving lots of room. They overstep slightly. And they exit in the same position they entered. So Aaron Large for Levens Racing couldn't quite get the move done. Lost out of position, and that battle continues. As I was going to say, lap 6 still sees Ben Abbott in front. 4 seconds now over his nearest rival Charlie Heath in championship points as well. Tom O'Farrell falling behind a little bit, and Alexander Rhodes really getting on the back of that 97 car. Can smell a top 3 position, can smell a podium position. Has 9 minutes to do it, which theoretically should be enough. Where was Alex's highest position? Let's just have a little look. So Alex's highest finish so far was in Italy, where he had a 4th place. So this will be his first podium position of this season. If he can get around Mr. Tom O'Farrell. So good battle hotting up between them. Ben Abbott still on the fastest first sector as well, so getting even quicker as time goes on. You'd expect him to get a bit slower as the tyres wear out, but no, he's handling the car beautifully in these conditions. Very dry conditions at Croft this evening. 8 minutes of qualifying remaining. Gaps opened up ever so slightly, so I think Tom O'Farrell lost a little bit of time, and Alex tried to capitalise on that, but Tom O'Farrell's got his head down once again. The gap's starting to open up slightly between them. So we're all just starting to reset a little bit, just taking a little bit of a breather from putting in their quickest times. Everyone's opening up, finding their good sort of space on track. Aaron Large has got past Daniel Abbott once again as they head into the complex. So I think Daniel Abbott must have made a mistake under so much pressure from Aaron Large. Now the tables have turned a little bit. This battle behind them still going on. Stu Neal defending from Garrett Ranson, so that's been going on for a couple of laps now. As we see Josh Brown will lose a little bit of time from that. Saves the car. Has a kind of a half spin, but manages to carry on. Was gaining on the car in front, Mr. Ranson, for a time, but we'll have to do that all over again. Jay Binsbergen and Toby Owen battling it out slightly as well, very respectively. Trev Hummer is no longer last in 17th place, but we have Cohen de Groot and Stefan de Groot at the back of the pack, unfortunately. I'm not sure what happened to them, whether they had a little coming together themselves. We've lost one driver as well. I'm not sure who that was. We did start with 20, now down to 19. That might have been... No, Roy Grassley's is there. So is Gavin Ranson, both the AGR competitors as well. Stu Neal on the 11th. Was that a little bit of a show? I'm not too sure. One of them, I think Stu did slow down rather dramatically. Can Ranson capitalise on that? He's very close going into the complex. Just needs to find the smallest opening. But Stu Neal defending hard, as he has been for several laps now. Gavin Ranson just can't find a way, but it looks like they've caught up on car number 12. So they may end up with a little bit of traffic there. Ben Abbott in a complete world of his own, a complete different league to the others at the moment, 5.5 seconds ahead of his nearest competitors. Top speed 111 miles an hour on lap 9 of the race. 5 minutes remaining. Charlie Heath in his again his own little world there, putting his head down, trying to catch up to that yellow and purple car. Not able to do so. They're going to be watching the gap between Tom O'Farrell and Alexander Rhodes. See a change at the back. It looks like Van Binsbergen's got past Toby Owen. Toby Owen is on the back of that car though. Can Toby get the manoeuvre done? Going into Tower Bend, no, falls behind. Binsbergen a little bit late on the brakes, lost speed on the exit. Toby Owen with a cleaner line, has the higher top speed and makes that look very easy. Binsbergen letting him through, he knew he didn't have the speed on that one. Toby Owen regains 15th place. Binsbergen back in the slipstream again, trying the outside manoeuvre. Overcorrection from Toby, he's going to lose time as well. It's a little mistakes from both of them, costing time, and Binsbergen regains that 15th place. It's a good battle, good respectable battle between them. The battle for 10th place still raging on. As TJ's just holding on to that, but he has Stu Neal and Gavin Ranson very, very close on his tail. So they're going to be throwing everything they've got at him to try and get past. Everyone threading through this very, very harsh. Harsh barriers. Looks like Stu Neal's got the run. He was in the slipstream, moves to the inside, brakes slightly earlier than TJ. There's slight contact between the two. They still exit neck and neck. On Tower Bend there was contact. T just has got a little bit of contact from that coming up on my screen. Runs wide, trying to keep his pace up, but avoiding Stu Neal, who has the inside. They're still side by side. They have been for half a lap now. But T just out, breaks himself, and he can't hold it. Runs on the grass. Rejoins safely, but has lost a massive amount of time. Does that allow Gavin Ranson the opportunity to get past Stu Neal? Followed him through. Followed his line through. So Stu Neal with very little time left. I think we've got about 2 laps of racing remaining. 2, possibly 3 laps remaining. Can he get a better exit? Can Mr. Ranson get the exit? He cannot. They've got past car number 12 as they needed to. Now the pace can go up a bit. See if Stu Neal can open the gap a bit more to Gavin Ranson. the battle for 8th place between Aaron Large and Daniel Abbott still raging on as well. Aaron Large defending very well, keeping his head down, keeping the Abbott brother back. What's happened there? Stu Neal's off the circuit, going into turn 1. I thought the gap was opening up. There wouldn't have been any issues there, but no, Stu Neal, unfortunately, I think may have had an issue of his own. That battle as well is changing, as well as Daniel Abbott tried the inside, loses the back end, saves it very well. Manages to correct the car in time, but has lost a massive amount of time too. Aaron Large. So T just back ahead of Gavin Ranson. So I think he was involved in that. Whether Ranson, because Ranson was behind, so maybe Ranson outbraked himself and had an issue with Stu Neal. I'm not too sure. That's going to be an interesting one to look back at later. So this will be the last lap of the running 133s, and this will be the last lap of the race. Ben Abbott not putting a foot wrong, showing his pace, showing his force, and showing he's a force to be reckoned with. Power sliding around turn 1. I mean, if that's how he's been doing it, if that's the quickest way around the Croft, then that is incredible. Saw how much of an angle he had on that car going around turn 1. And then just straightening it up through the chicane. Or he's showing off because it's the last lap. Who knows? But he is in first. 7 seconds over Charlie Heath. We'll just see what Charlie Heath is at the moment. There he is. Very good time. Tom O'Farrell and Alexander Rhodes unfortunately couldn't contend with Tom O'Farrell and has fallen back a little bit. But he's got damage as well. So we didn't see what happened there. He's 4 seconds behind. So whatever incident he was involved in wasn't too damaging. Nathan Birch just getting past Arnold Stryker. And Gavin Ranson having issues as well. Stu Neal's off the circuit. I think... Where is he? Is he still running? No, yep, Stu Neal, sorry, back on circuit. But yes, the timer has reached 0 on race 1. The flags are out and waiting for our race winner, Ben Abbott. Comes around the last corner and comes home to take another win for race 1 at Croft this evening. Begins to celebrate, quite rightly so, and takes the win. Charlie Heath taking second. And Tom O'Farrell, you can see there, taking a well-deserved third. I was going to say, where was Tom O'Farrell's last highest position? Where was he? So he has had a race win before. So Donington race 3 took a win, and then a second and a third in Italy. It's a very good result for him. But now Charlie Heath in the pits as well. Alexander Rhodes taking 4th. Richardson 5th, Nathan Birch finishing 6th. So well done to everyone for that. I don't think anyone's doing donuts anymore. So, slightly muted racing, but still very exciting. Some very good battles throughout. We will just wait for our race winners to come through. Let me get a quick word with them. So yeah, it's a big circuit for the MX-5s to race on. Slightly loose, very bumpy. You can see people contending with the back ends and deciding to step out on the exits of many corners. But everyone did very, very well, especially in the first couple of corners. Some heated battles, very instant light, I think, compared to the first round. So the stewards are going to be happy for that. There's some maybe overly aggressive driving that we saw. That may be one for them to look at. Don't think the conditions changed too much as well for the second race, but as I've said before, the finishing positions for that race will now be there starting positions for race 3. So that will be once they're all done and dusted. It's not giving me the correct finishing time there. But you will have Ben Abbott, Charlie Heath running on row 1. I see. Beg your pardon, I didn't see who joined in there, but we have our race winner. How was that, sir? Hello, Mr. Abbott. Would anyone else like to speak in Abbott's yellow? Can no one hear me?
I'll go if you like.
Oh, go, by all means, Charlie. Yes. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was a good race. Enjoyed it. There's not a lot I could do about Ben. He just sort of disappeared into the distance. Good little bit of defending from Tom for a bit, and then I think he came under a bit of pressure from behind, so that allowed me to pull a bit of a gap. And after that, it was just a case of trying not to make mistakes.
No, it was a fairly simple race for you, I think, for the beginning. How, I mean, was the plan to try and get him in going into the first corner? Was it try and get a good start, or what were your tactics trying to get the better of Ben?
Well, I know from experience of racing in a number of series against Ben that he's a really good starter, so I didn't think I had that much chance there. But I just did what I could. I got quite close to him through sunny in, sunny out on that one, but then he just disappeared after that, unfortunately.
Just stormed away. Fantastic, Tom. So yes, you were running in third for the majority of the race. You did have pressure from behind you. What was that like, being in the middle of that? We can hear you. We can see it go green, but I can't hear you, I'm afraid, Tom. So racing driver is clearly very good at racing, very bad at the interviews.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, it was good fun. I made a mistake quite early on between sunny in and sunny out. It just lost me quite a lot of time. So guy behind caught up, and then I just don't have the pace to keep up with the two in front, to be honest. It's too quick for me.
No, they've definitely got some pace on them. You were under pressure from Alex for a while. How was that to deal with? Yeah,
I mean, we both had positive sides of the circuit, sectors of the circuit, but as I say, I don't have the pace to keep up with the guys in front. I must admit, I thought he was going to challenge me, but it's such a tight circuit that it's quite hard to overtake when you do get close behind. So.
It does seem to be that throughout the grid. Is like people have got, even if you've got a quicker pace on someone in front, it's very difficult to sort of find that space, despite how wide the track is, to actually get around, isn't it?
Yeah, you just need to send it and hope, really.
Fair enough. Oh dear, but no, you've had some good results so far. You had second and third in a couple of races last weekend, so no, you've got you've got some good pace on you, so it should be good.
Just hope to improve as the night goes on, to be honest. We'll see. Hopefully another podium in next race and another podium after that, so we'll see.
Hopefully. Good. Ben, have you returned? Can we hear your dulcet tones now?
I have.
Hey.
I managed to turn my headset to mute, so that'd be why.
Wonderful. Fantastic. So how was that race for you out in front?
It's
very
good.
Unchallenged by the looks of it.
Yeah, it was Croft's a very difficult circuit to overtake at. I was there in the Mark 1 Championship like a couple of weeks ago, but they've resurfaced it when this model was done, so it's a lot smoother. So I went through Tau and was like, well, this wasn't this bumpy when I was there not too long ago, but what softened the car a bit and it got a bit of traction. It was right. But yeah, no, I love the circuit. It's brilliant. Just trying to keep consistent, trying to keep those lap times down. I know if I make one mistake, Charlie's going to be there. So the first few laps is always just get on the pace as quick as I can, build the gap as quick as I can, and then just try and manage the gap from there.
Well, it certainly looked good from this angle, but yeah, no, it should be good. Well, thank you for joining me, gentlemen, and
Cool.
yeah, good luck for race 2.
Thanks very much.
There you go, it's just there. Fantastic. Right, so we. There it is. So that is race 1 done and dusted. We have our starting grid for race 2. Everyone is just about to get set up, I think, as the servers are about to get ready. Once we join in, so yeah, that's quite interesting. What Ben said, what the actual real life circuit nowadays actually compares to the model for that we're using for AC. So clearly some development work has gone on in the circuit, so that it's different to contend with. I think a lot of them maybe not as familiar with the circuit, but yeah, more bumpy than real life essentially, which is a bit quite interesting. So they've had to go for a more softer setup on the circuit, on the cars, which is interesting. So yes, they are just lining up for race 2. We've got a few minutes until the grid fully forms and we begin the race. And let's just join them. So we've got a few people still just joining into the lobby before we get going. We still should be looking at a full 20 or so car grid. I can still see some spaces at the back of the grid that we're still waiting for. So let's just confirm that's not the screen you want to see. Just pretend that didn't happen. You didn't see that. I mean, you can. There is a link to following that to the live timing anyway, so it doesn't necessarily matter so much. But we have Ben Abbott and Charlie Heath potentially continuing their battle for championship points, taking row 1. Row 2 is Tom O'Farrell and Alexander Rhodes. So Alexander Rhodes gaining a place from his qualifying position originally. Row, let's see, can we see everyone? No, not doing it, but there we are. So yes, row 1, Ben Abbott, Charlie Heath. Row 2, Tom O'Farrell and Alexander Rhodes. Row 3 is Alex Richardson and Nathan Birch. Row 4 is Arnoud Stryker and Aaron Large. Row 5 is Daniel Abbott, Joshua Brown. Row 6 is then TJ Kapatika, Roy Grassi. Row 7, I think Stu Neal and Gavin Ranson. And then Trev Hummer, Mr. Binsberg and Toby Owen. And then the 2, Cohen de Groot and Stefan de Groot at the back. Unfortunately, starting at the back. So hopefully they can get some good results in, as we have the final few moments before our race begins. Andrex, saw a nice BMW in the intro video. Well, yes, I mean, only the best colour schemes I think made it into that. Wasn't made by me. It was made by our leader Toby, I believe. So only the best colour schemes made it there. Final few moments until race 2 begins. Most of the battles are going to, I think, continue. We had Toby Owen. We had Gavin Ranson as well in the thick of it. So I'm sure some very exciting racing awaits. We have our 6 red lights on the gantry. You can hear the revs rising as everyone's raring to go. 20 minutes, race 2. Big ends now. Everyone has got a fairly good start. Charlie Heath trying to challenge for position. 3 wide going down the main straight. I think in a couple of places at the back. But Ben Abbott has the start. Charlie Heath turning in right on the tail of that purple and gold car. There's someone rotating. No, there was movement. There is at the back of rotations. That looks like Trev Hummer has been caught up as well with Toby Owen and I think because they're at the back, they're both the group competitors, but they do get going as well. So some small spins at the back. Everyone going into Charlie Heath under pressure. Tom O'Farrell ran outside, braking manoeuvre into Tower Bend. Can't get the pace down. Side by side to Charlie Heath and Tom O'Farrell. As who's going to come out of that? Tom O'Farrell does hold on to that position, but we've got 2. We've got Charlie Heath and we've got Alexander Rhodes as well. For some reason the timing is giving me a slightly strange reading. There we are. Arnie Striker dropping back down again, so ignore that for the moment, just a glitch in the system. But we have, who's that? Alexander Rhodes losing pace on the grass, battling with his competitor. He has the inside line though. Car number 88 there's 2 cars going a little bit wide, battling for position. Elbows out between car number 88 and 14. Alexander running wide. No, that's but a very, very rough line from who is number 88, Alexander Richardson, under braking, manages to hold on to that, but very aggressive trying to get round. As who are we looking at? Nathan Birch trying to get up the inside of Alexander Rhodes, has the line going into turn 1. Alex is going to have to concede that to make it through the chicane. Didn't want to, really tried to hold on to that, but did have to concede that in the end. Aaron Large on the background, you can see running wide, trying to avoid them, trying to get the most speed, I think, as possible through the chicane onto the main straight. And this is where the slipstream's going to possibly have an effect on, I think we're looking at all the way up to top 10. No, we're all top 12 drivers as well. Alexander Rhodes under pressure, gets the inside line, pushes Nathan Birch wide. Nathan Birch cutting inside, there was contact between the 2. Nathan Birch pushing the back end of Rhodes and he spins. So Nathan Birch desperate to, I think, hold on to that slipstream and get the manoeuvre back. I don't know whether he knew how close he was, but that just made the back of Alex's car go very light and spun him out on the inside of the circuit. That potentially, that could be one for the stewards to intervene on that one. As Mr. Nathan Birch did gain a massive advantage from contact on that one. So I think there's going to be some correcting of that one. Who is this? Daniel Abbott getting the best of Arnold Striker in 9th. Aaron Large now up into 6th place. So everyone getting a lot more used to the circuit. Really, they know they've got to get onto the back of the cars. There's more contact going through the complex as car number 12 tries to get the best of one of the Stefan de Group, but can't get it done. Alexander Rhodes now on a recovery drive back up into 15th, getting past Cohen de Groot. Lap 2 though, as it comes through the chicane, sees Daniel Abbott still in 1st, building that lead that he needs, as he said, to stop himself losing any positions to any mistakes. But Tom O'Farrell, after a fantastic first lap manoeuvre, now has 2nd place. Charlie Heath down in 3rd. So Tom O'Farrell, he said he didn't have the pace for these drivers. However, he's gained. He's now holding 2nd place. So that's a bloody good position for someone who doesn't have the pace. As we see Nathan Birch get up the inside, take 4th place from Alex Richardson. We've got, who's that? Daniel Abbott and no, that's Joshua Brown on the outside of Aaron Large. Alexander Richardson getting that position back. I think Nathan Birch may have no, Alexander Richardson. I think again contact with Nathan Birch. Again, I'm not sure, the common denominator there being Nathan Birch in a 2nd spin, but Richardson had to turn in into, which one was that? That was Sunny Out corner. But yeah, spin happened to come across the nose of Mr. Nathan Birch. So again, another one that's going to be, I think, a slightly more grey area for the stewards to look at. As we see, so where is everyone now? Charlie Heath closing down Tom O'Farrell, so we'll keep an eye on that gap. Nathan Birch now up into 4th, but has a massive amount of cars chasing him down. Aaron Large, Daniel Abbott up to 5th, Joshua Brown, our new striker, Alex Richardson. They're all trying to chase down that position. Slightly further behind Stu Neal. Roy Grassi and Gavin Ranson. And then Alexander Rhodes, the 3 AGR cars, taking up 11th to 13th. As Roy Grassi under pressure from Gavin Ranson. Ranson getting the position. Our new striker up to 8th. And we have Alex Richardson getting the position as well. So jostling position, a lot more activity in this circuit. Alex Richardson, massive braking manoeuvre on Joshua Brown. Very cleanly done. Has that position very quickly. Trying to chase down Daniel Abbott. Our new striker, I think, trying to follow through as well. Stu Neal, though, gets the better of striker as he tries to move around the circuit. They all dip the nose, trying to find their braking points. Slow the cars down for the complex and the hairpin. Very, very close together. There were cars running wide. Gavin Ranson slightly later on the brakes. But contact was avoided. Alexander Rose down to 13th on the back of that. Caught up to the back of that grid very quickly. I think there's going to be... There's a spin in the background. Toby Owen just getting the car going again. Unfortunately at the hairpin. Who is that struggling? That is Tejas, who is Toby Owen's teammate. Sorry. Words escape me. Just struggling there a little bit, but gets going. I think he's got a major damage there to contend with on his car. I think it's being a bit difficult to drive in a straight line. There is a very hotly contested battles contact there, and that is one of the Stefan de Groot, that is. No, Cohen de Groot, sorry. Spinning on the outside. It's a very difficult manoeuvre to try and pull off there. As we see Alexander Rhodes gaining on his teammate in 12th. Trying to chase down Ranson. But we all pop to the front of the grid quickly. Lap 4 sees Ben Abbott on another 4-second lead after the first third of the race. Charlie Heath in 3rd. And Tom O'Farrell in 2nd, holding on to that position very well. A second and a half separate them. Nathan Birch in 4th. Aaron Large chasing him down in 5th. With the other Abbott brother on their tail in 6th. There's a battle now down to 7th. There's, I think, Alex Richardson just on the back of that. Is Joshua Brown under pressure from Stu Neal. Stu Neal trying the outside, can't get it done. Trying to find any movement, any opening he can. You've got 3 AGR cars behind him. Alexander just getting onto that, onto the back of Gavin Ranson's car. Jay Brown with the slipstream. No, it's not Stu Neal with the slipstream. Finds the gap. Side by side. This isn't going to work, boys. Going through the chicane. They're keeping it very respectable. Arno Striker trying to find his space as well. They're going to have to concede going through. They just about at the last minute. Those are some very solid barriers, but there are contact at the back. Striker spins out. Alex Rhodes is caught up in a 2nd spin in the evening. So they left it to the very last minute all to find their way through those very solid barriers in the chicane. Those will not move. If you hit those, you're basically into the shadow realm at that point. But they just about managed to find their way through. But I think on the exit, people got a bit crossed up. And our new striker, Alex Rhodes, coming a cropper as well. Gavin Ranson's fallen off the... well, I think recovered well, but fell off the back of that chasing pack. So Stu Neal up into 9th. Joshua Brown 8th, going backwards through. Daniel Abbott getting the better of Alex Richardson. Richardson, I think, trying to defend from Joshua Brown now. That's only left 2 cars really contending for 4th. After potentially, I think it was about nearly 8 or 10 cars. There's a tussle in the background between Richardson and Abbott. No, Richardson and Brown, sorry. But they all filter through and find their find their way in single file down the main straight. Nose dips on Abbott's car as he brakes. Aaron Large biding his time, showing a great amount of patience behind Charlie Heath. He knows he's got lots of time to try and make a manoeuvre. He just needs to find that open bit of gap. He's obviously better on the brakes going into Tower Bend. I mean, really close that down. Very squarely on the exit though, but held that. I'm not sure he wants to be that unstable on the exit of Tower Bend. He's going to lose time that way, but did hold on to it. The gap between Charlie Heath and Tom O'Farrell is sort of maintains itself at the moment. So Charlie Heath not able to keep up with Tom O'Farrell yet, but Ben Abbott storming away once again. So as we just over the halfway point of race 2, Tom O'Farrell 5 seconds behind, in front of his nearest competitor. But this is, I think, a very interesting battle shaping up at the moment. Aaron Large further down the order in the end of race 1. But just biding his time, getting closer though. So I think in the next couple of laps, if he'll either try and push Birch into a mistake, or he'll try and find the gap where he can. Richardson in the background, both cars running wide. You can see the first turn. I think they're trying to do that to try and gain as much speed through the chicane. Aaron Large taking more of a curved line. Nathan Birch straight lining it. Richardson on the back of Daniel Abbott in the slipstream. So can he get the maneuver done? He's looking at the outside. No. Daniel Abbott covering off the inside very well. And Alex Richardson will have to wait a little bit longer to try and get round. I think that's probably one of the only very few places you can actually get a braking maneuver done going into Tower Bend. The gap, the battle behind them is between Stu Neal and Joshua Brown. Stu Neal trying to get the inside. Joshua Brown running very wide. Stu Neal just takes that position from him and says thank you very much for that. Richardson and Abbott side by side as well going into the complex now. Brake hard and a slight rubbing between the two, but Richardson having to concede that. I think Aaron Large and Birch still very close. Alexson getting his elbows out. Pushes, who is it? Pushes Ben Abbott to the side. Someone's going for the pits, I think, in the background. That is Joshua Brown going to get the car repaired. Well, that may, if he comes back out, actually, that may have been, no, it is for repairs, not a drive-through. But in this tussle, they've allowed, in the battle between Daniel Abbott and Alex Richardson, there has allowed Stu Neal to really close the gap. The contact between the two, and Daniel Abbott's pushed all the way to the inside of the circuit, tries to recover it, glances off the barrier. Really not sure. There's a very strange camera angle to try and see what happened, but Alexander Richardson, I think, caught on the inside of Daniel Abbott's car. And some very, very strange contact happening too. There's a contact between Richardson and Stu Neal trying to get round. They're still side by side. Richardson defending his position, just getting the best of Stu at the moment. But Stu Neal is still in the back of that orange car. That's a strange one. It's on a straight. It's very hard to call who's really at fault, whether Daniel came across the front of Alex Richardson's orange car or not. Stu Neal has the inside line going into the hairpin. Can he get done to braking? He will get that position, and it looks like Roy Gressy followed him through very, very well. Read that beautifully and followed Stu Neal's line through the hairpin. And yeah, poor old Alexander Richardson losing out 2 places there. On the back, that was contact again between that. Again, contact between Alex Richardson and Roy Grassi. So Alexander Richardson, I think it's very, very difficult to say how he could have avoided that, or why he didn't avoid that, to be honest. It just touched the back end of Roy Grassi's car. Whether it's he outbraked himself or not, but he's very, very close, didn't leave enough space, and I think, again, caused the back of Roy Grassi's car to go light. So they both lost out massively on that one, unfortunately. Alexander Richardson behind them. Trev Hummer. Trev Hummer up into 13th now. It's a bit of a dark horse. Didn't see him too much, but he has gained on to got onto the back of that battle. So a little bit focused on that little mid-pack there. But we have Ben Abbott at the moment just coming up onto the back of traffic, which is... Who is that? That is Joshua Brown. I think car number 12 has also been in the pits at one point as well. But Joshua Brown is... will soon be needed to get out. He will have the blue flags waved in very vigorously in his face to get out of the way of the leader, Ben Abbott, coming through. Tom O'Farrell still beautifully holding on to second place. Maintaining that sort of 2-second lead now over Charlie Heath. Nathan Birch in 4th place. Aaron Large backing off a little bit. Whether he's just saving his efforts for the last couple of minutes of the race, who knows? But he had a massive amount of pace for the majority of the race. Getting onto the back of Nathan Birch, holding off the advances of the chasing cars behind, who have all sort of fallen off the pace up to now, tussling with themselves. And there's a huge gap now to Stu Neal in 6th. Gavin Ransom with a good result at the moment in 7th. Alexander Rhodes recovering up into 8th. Daniel... Beg your pardon, you could see Arnoud Striker on the back of that pack. Daniel Abbott we just see running wide a little bit at Tower Bend. So a battle heating up between Alex Richardson and Trev Hummer. So potentially, I think at this point, Alexander Richardson has had to battle off against the majority of the AJR team, and has now got another one on his tail, down in 11th and 12th position, respectively. So we'll just see up to the exit of the hairpin whether Trev Hummer can get the gain on the orange car in front. He's certainly trying. He's going to have the slipstream going down the main straight. Roy Grassi gets the inside line on Javen Binsberger at the hairpin as well. Gains position. Stu Neal's off the circuit at turn 1. Rejoins fairly safely as he can. Lets Daniel Abbott through, but yeah, very unfortunate. Didn't see, unfortunately, whether that was his own accord. Turn 1 very difficult for the back end of the car, and it can catch you off guard, so that may have been an instant of his own accord. 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining of race 2. So Ben Abbott getting past our lap to Joshua Brown. Has car number 12 in front of him, which he should be able to get around fairly easily. But this will be the last lap of race 2 for Ben Abbott. Has held on to his commanding position once again. And now we'll begin his final lap of the race. Tom O'Farrell, who initially said he didn't have the pace for the quicker drivers, managed to leapfrog himself, managed to get hold of second place, wrestled that off Charlie Heath, and has held on to it. 1 lap remaining for Charlie Heath to try and get that back, but I think he's going to be way too far behind. It's going to be a massive lunge if he can to try and get that position back. Nathan Birch running wide at the first turn. Is that going to allow Aaron Large to gain the traction and gain the ground that he needs? He's going to have a quicker top speed coming out of Tower Bend through Jim Clark S's if he can outbrake Nathan Birch. Not on the inside. outside line. He's closed the gap, but it's going to be tight whether he can get that done by the end of the lap. Stu Neal and Ben Abbott battling as they enter Tower Bend, and Ben Abbott gets the better of Stu Neal and takes 9th place. Who's battling for position up at the top of the screen? That is Alex Rhodes and Gavin Ranson as well. That's going to be an interesting one to see how that ends. But this man, with his impeccable performance, takes race 2, win once again. A repeat performance again at the 3rd round here. Tom O'Farrell, very well deserved 2nd place for him. Again, equally not put a foot wrong. Charlie Heath, who may be slightly disappointed with 3rd, but yeah, fantastic result as well. So we'll end up talking to the same 3 people as well for the race at the end. What happened to Mosa? Nathan Birch holding on to 4th place there, but I think there's a bit of a big question mark over his finishing position, as there was contact involved in a couple of his overtakes. Aaron Large, a very well-deserved 5th place. I think it was very clean there. Gavin Ranson. Alexander Rhodes finishes in 7th after that contact with Nathan Birch. They're all going to be filtering out of the lobby as well, so we'll just double check where everyone finishes once everyone exits. Once all the computer systems decide to catch up. Oh, there we go. So, race 2, final result is Ben Abbott, Tom Farrell and Charlie Heath take 1st, 2nd and 3rd. 4th is Nathan Birch, 5th is Aaron Large, Gavin Ranson 6th, Alexander Rhodes in 7th, Arnoud Striker in 8th, Stu Neal in 9th, and Daniel Abbott rounds out the top 10. Alexander Richardson in 11th, kind of 88. Trev Hummer couldn't get round him, so he finishes in 12th, but it's a very good result for him. We have been joined by some drivers. We have some different drivers this time. I think we'll, out of the gentlemen that arrived, I think we'll just speak to Charlie Heath first, if that's all right.
Yeah, no problem.
No worries. So, Mr. O'Farrell, after the race 1 interview, said, "Oh no, I haven't quite got the pace of these chaps," and then out of nowhere leapfrogs you into what happened? What was the incident like that got him into 2nd?
Well, I think I made a little bit of an error through turn sort of 2-3, and that gave him a run on me down the straight towards Tower, and he just went around the outside at Tower. I covered the inside, but yeah, he went around the outside, and then I defend from a couple of other drivers as well, so he got away. And after that, I was struggling with the balance of the car for some reason. I picked it up at the end, and I was reining him in, but yeah, not enough time left in the race.
It was too late by that point. I see, because they're open setups in these cars as well. So if you have to tune it to your style, I guess.
Yeah, I did wonder if I'd loaded the wrong setup actually, because it just felt completely different from the first race.
Fair enough, but unfortunately, no such reason to fall back on.
No. I'll have to hold my hands up. Tom had some good pace in that race.
Fair enough. Any changes to be made before race 3?
No, just keep your eye open, because obviously starting mid-pack, it's a different ball game. So just keep my head on the swivel and see what happens.
Try and keep them behind you.
Yes.
Good, no worries. Good luck. So we have been joined by Aaron.
How you doing? You alright?
Hello. Not too bad. How was that for you? Good 5th place finish there.
Yeah, I had technical issues as soon as I set off from the line. I've only got sound at my left ear, so my headset's finally died. Yeah, so still got a good result. So yeah, happy with that.
Fair enough. Did you? Because you were trying to chase down Mr. Birch in 4th, weren't you? At the end.
Yes. Yeah. He's basically, I was following his lines. I think that's why I got a bit quicker and more stable. So I have him to thank for that, really. But yeah, I couldn't quite close the gap. I only made a few mistakes same time he did, sort of thing. So yeah, copying him really.
So have you managed to pick up any sort of quicker lines then to going into race 3?
It's more just trusting the grip to come back, I think, carrying the speed. But yeah, the first race I just messed with the setup and it was completely new, and I think this one I've just got a bit more comfortable with it.
Fair enough, fantastic. Okay, well, good luck for race 3 there.
Thank you very much.
Demon Driver Dan, you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm not sure who that is. Can you
Dan
Abbott, there we are. Reveal yourself, sir. Oh dear. How was that for you? Slightly lower down on the grid, but it looked a bit fraught through the mid pack there.
Yeah, we started P9. First couple of laps were pretty good. A few incidents in front of me, I think, which took me up to P6. Was sitting fairly happy there, slowly trying to catch the guys in front, but it wasn't going that well. So I just thought, okay, we'll take this. It'll put me a reasonable spot for the reverse grid. And then unfortunately, I was taken out in a straight line, which is a bit disappointing. By someone who had hit me a few times in previous corners, then took me out in a straight line. Which is a disappointing way to go, and that pushed me down to, I think, 10th. Bit of a good battle with Stu Neal at the end there, but yeah, P10, it is what it is. It's a bit disappointing. We'll have a look at the replay later on, but otherwise, yeah, it was good.
Good. I think because I wasn't, if I may, you because obviously I wasn't doing last week, was I? What happened at last weekend? Because I think you'd had slightly worse off finishing positions as opposed to like the first round, wasn't there? So was it just not so much of a comfortable track for you?
Let's call it driver incompetence for myself more than anything else. If I do spin by myself, then I can't expect good results. But yeah, it was just I'm here to have fun. I do no practice. I rock up on the day and we race. So just trying to enjoy it. And have good fun. Watch Ben do worryingly well.
Oh, fair enough. Oh, good. Well, no, fantastic. Good to talk to you. Yes, good luck for the final race this evening. So I think some of the people have joined. Tom O'Farrell, you were the next one to pop in and show your face, sir. Relatively deceptive, I think, talking to you after race 1. But yeah, how was that? How was that race for you?
That was good fun, to be honest. I enjoyed that compared to race 1, to be honest. Yeah, as I said, make the move as soon as you get the slightest opportunity, and I did that, and I'm surprised I kept it, to be honest.
No, you did very well. The gap, I think, for someone who said they haven't got the pace themselves, that was very good holding on to that pace for that long to come out with I think the highest position you've gained so far, isn't it, in a race?
I won. Was it last time out? I think. Did I not? Or
potentially? Beg your pardon. You may have done
round 3. Yeah, just. I kept that after.
You did indeed, yes.
We won't go there.
Okay, fair enough. leave that in round 1. But yeah, so yeah, any thoughts for the final race there, starting mid pack now?
Shall we? I'll just see what I can do. This time it's going to be a race, whereas last time it was more qualifying laps. And just keep out of trouble. So, I mean, race 3. Out of the 3 races, it's normally one that there's a little bit more contact, shall I say? So, as I say, just try and keep me car clean and bring it home, get as many points as possible, and yeah, we'll see.
Good, fantastic to talk to you, and yeah, good luck, gentlemen, for the final race this evening.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thank you.
So they're all just getting lined up for the final race, the final reverse race. We have partial grid reverse, so up to 8th place is reversed, and we'll join them on the circuit, ready for the final race. The final race is upon us this evening, slightly later in the evening, as you can see, starting at 4 p.m. at Croft Circuit this evening for the VRCC MX-5 Cup. We have our new striker and Alexander Rhodes on the front row after the 8th place grid swap. So essentially, Ben Abbott actually starting, looks like starting his 7th, but race 3 about to begin. We have our 6 red lights on the gantry. Let's see whether either of the front row runners can get a race win this evening. What will happen to the mid-pack going through? The lights are out and we are away. A fantastic start from Alex Arnoud, falling back slightly down the order. Alex covering off. There's 3 wide going down the main straight already. We've had some very good starts from some people. Alex swaps to the other side of the circuit, turns in. 3 wide going through the first turns. I'm not sure they're all quite going to fit. Looks like they all get through very well. No, there's contact in the back. Who's that? That is Joshua Brown falling foul. As once again, they all follow through the chicane. There's more contact as cars bouncing off each other. But after that, they all get going. Do they? I can see some cars off in the background. I think Toby Owen's stationary. Trouble is with the camera angles, they're not ideal. But yeah, Alexander Rhodes still holds on to that first place. There's a car getting squiggly in the background. Daniel Abbott, I think, at the back, struggling for grip. Just holds on to that tank slapper MX-5 and gets going. But that is going to allow Ben Abbott through. And Ben Abbott now into 6th. Tom O'Farrell in 5th. Charlie Heath in 4th. Aaron Large 3rd. And 2nd. And first is Alexander Rhodes and Arnoud striker. Both running very wide. Alexander's going to be losing pace on that one. So is Arnoud, who loses 2 positions incredibly quickly. Aaron Large up into 2nd place as well on nearing the end of lap 1. So a lot of movement for everyone on the circuit as they just come through the complex now through the hairpin. And Alexander Rhodes holding on to that position just about. Aaron Large in 2nd now with Charlie Heath behind him. Toro Farrell getting past our new striker who falls all the way down to the 5th, unfortunately. Personal best sectors coming through now after the first lap as well. Little gap opening up now. Aaron Large under massive pressure from Charlie Heath, and finds the inside line at lap 1. Someone's going to have to concede going through the chicane, and Aaron Large does let Charlie Heath through. It's a very scary corner. I think it's slightly possible to go too wide, but it's a very scary corner to go through too wide. We've got Stu Neal and Daniel Abbott with contact, so they've been tussling going through the chicane as well. Our new striker is under pressure from Nathan Birch in 8th. 2 wide is Aaron Large and Tom O'Farrell. Tom O'Farrell getting the inside line with the championship leader Ben Abbott behind them as well. So Ben Abbott's going to try and find that open gap as looks like there's contact between the 3 cars. They all correct themselves very well. I think that's just an innocent mistake from a couple of cars. Tom O'Farrell braked at his normal braking point, but Aaron Large so close trying to keep up to their pace. Slightly missed his braking point. Ben Abbott doing the same though, strangely, behind them. But they all just about got away with that. Tom O'Farrell running wide through the complex. Ben Abbott trying to get through on the outside. Can't get it done. Can he get the switch back on the exit? Aaron Large running even wide as well on the hairpin. He's going to lose pace as well. I think he's off lines. He's struggling to hold on to that. Ben Abbott and Tom O'Farrell side by side. Slight contact into the front wheels bounce as they get going. They're coming together once again as they find their braking point for the first turn. Ben Abbott elbows out trying to get round. He does indeed. Very, very wide late turn in on the outside of turn 1 and gets past Tom O'Farrell. Holds on to 3rd place. Tom O'Farrell now down in 4th. Charlie Heath is chasing down is Alexander Rhodes. There's a second separating them. The 2 AJR cars in 1st and 2nd. Ben Abbott, though, is not quite clear of Tom Farrell. It's contact at the back. 2 cars spin separately. I think that's Arnoud Striker and Roy Grassi, I think, just regaining on the track. But those were completely of their own volition. No contact, I think, was made through through those corners. Daniel Abbott getting up the inside of Nathan Birch up to 7th. Finds the space. Breaks later, but can't get the run. And Nathan Birch comes back at him on the outside. Still side by side as they're about to go into the complex. Out of Sunny Out into the complex. Nathan Birch holding on to that. Daniel Abbott not letting go. He's going to have the inside line as they turn into the next right-hander and cut off, losing a little bit of speed there, but has the line going into the final hairpin, and that's going to be the decider there as Gavin Ranson follows Nathan Birch's line and gets past car number 12, Tejas at the back. Nathan Birch not letting him through. He's got the slipstream, trying an outside maneuver as Daniel has covered off the inside very, very well. It's, I think, slightly possible to get an outside maneuver done because there's a massive amount of space on the outside. And there's contact again. Nathan Birch involved in another spin. So that's nearly 3 spins now for Nathan Birch. Causing contact there, unfortunately. So Mr. Daniel Abbott now recovering, but all the way down in 14th. Position. Trev Hummer is gaining on in that tussle as well in 13th. Joshua Brown as well. Our new striker down 11th. But looking at the front, sharp end of the grid after that very close battle is Charlie Heath and Alexander Rose. Charlie Heath has the inside line, I think, coming through Sunny Inn. They both run wide of the grass, and Alexander Rose doesn't have an answer for him and can't hold on to that first place. I'm sure was massively avoiding contact with his teammate as much as he could, as Charlie Heath is higher than him in championship points. So whether team orders comes into it, I have no idea. But Charlie Heath got the better of Alexander Rose going into Sunny Out, Sunny Out, and had the maneuver sewn up by the time they got to the complex. The championship leader behind them in 3rd place, Ben Abbott, I will get that right eventually by the time the end of the season, but we'll see. Ben Abbott in 3rd place now has completely free air in front of him to chase down the 2 AGR cars in 1st and 2nd. Tom O'Farrell in 4th place, in a very good position, trying to hold on to the coattails of that gold and purple car. Aaron Large in a very good position in 5th. Another AJR car, Roy Grassi in 6th. They're all starting to open up now a little bit as we see Tejas Kapaktika in 7th. Gavin Ranson in 8th. Jay Van Binsbergen in 9th. Good position for him. Stefan de Groot in 10th. Rounding up top 10. Good result. Our new striker slightly getting a bit unbalanced on the exit of Tower Bend. There was, I didn't quite see who that was. There was contact flashing up on my screen, I think, between 2 cars. We've got Gavin Ranson gaining 7th place. 4 laps behind, actually still in. So we've got 2 cars in the pits at the moment. Cohen de Groot and Toby Owen in the pits, unfortunately, after that one. Stu Neal in 16th. Nathan Birch down in 15th. And then there's another battle of cars, I think, chasing down top 10 position as Stefan de Groot arguably slightly slower on pace, has a queue of cars behind him trying to get past. Some rather interesting gaps happening at the front of the grid. Charlie Heath putting in the fastest first sector of the lap, and Ben Abbott putting in the fastest 2nd and 3rd on the last lap to chase down. Our new striker again with contact, I think, trying to get round Stefan de Groot. They all filtered their way through the chicane once again by quite a tight gaggle of cars, trying to chase down, where is that, top 10 now. They all break. Stefan de Groot slightly, I think, trying to avoid the car in front. Missed his braking point slightly, but holds on to that. 5 cars chase down. Is that Jay Van's? Who are they chasing down? They are chasing down our new striker in 10th. Joshua Brown trying to get down the outside, slightly unsettled line for Trev Hummer in the background. You can smell a couple of good positions in front of him. Too wide now as they're going into the complex. They'll fall into position. Who's going to have the inside line? Very late on the brakes is Stefan de Groot. Makes slight contact. 3 wide now going through. And there's contact again between Arnu Striker and Stefan de Groot. And Arnu Striker gets spun and spun again as Nathan Birch once again makes contact with him, with a car. Lots and lots of contact flashing up on my screen now between the competitors. So we have Trev Hummer and Daniel Abbott battling position. Trev recovering that car well. That was starting to over-rotate on him. He managed to hold on to that. Back at the front end of the grid. What's happening there? Nathan Birch is off the track. Just getting going again, I think, with contact with Arnu Striker, unfortunately. But yeah, it gets going. Charlie Heath at the front of the grid. Half the race run. Currently has 0.7 of a second over Alex Rhodes. And that gap sort of roughly stayed the same for a majority of the race 3. But he's chased them down now, and as he exit the hairpin, that has allowed Ben Abbott now on the back of Alexander Rhodes. So I think Alex potentially might be trying to delay the overtake as much as possible. Few of the drivers have said how difficult it is to overtake on this circuit. So whether Alex can defend for 8 minutes is going to be quite exciting to see. You can see on the screen there's a massive mid-pack battle as well between, I think, 6th to 9th. They're all fairly close to each other. But this is the one we're going to be following for the next few laps till its conclusion. Charlie Heath not able to quite get away with the clear air in front of him. Alexander Rhodes and Ben Abbott now chasing him down. Ben Abbott with the quicker pace. Can he find the gap? Going into Sunny In, flashing the lights, letting Alex know he's there. He wants to get past as much as he can. Through Sunny out now, down the straight to the complex. Alexander Rose trying to defend his line. Can Ben Abbott get a switchback on him? That's a very wide line from Alex Rose. That's gonna possibly allow Ben Abbott the position. No, Ben Abbott's going to get the switchback on him, and he's going to get the inside line going down the main straight. He's not going to have the slipstream. He's just going to be on pure power of the car. He's slightly set back from him, so Alex might be able to just about defend. But Ben Abbott, I think, has managed to get onto the power sooner. Cuts across the front of Alex's car and doesn't take the position. Gets very unsettled on the exit. Doesn't gain any space. Was very wide on the was very wide on the outside line. Just about by the skin of his teeth, Alex Rhodes manages to get that position back off Ben Abbott, who loses a bit of space having to let off going through the chicane after Hawthorne. But Hawthorne Bend was a very, very fraught attempt for Ben Abbott after Alex Rhodes ran very, very wide at Tower, beg your pardon, at the hairpin going onto the main straight. So 6 minutes remaining. Some very aggressive driving from the both of them. So there's time yet for Ben Abbott to reset himself for another attempt at second place. As Alex Rose runs very wide as well, struggling with the tyres. That's going to lose. He's going to lose lose time for that. And you can see Ben Abbott's closed the gap so quickly after that. So these little mistakes from Alex as he tries to hold off the championship leader. Very wide contact was made. I think Alex is going to have to concede that one going into the final hairpin, as he does indeed. Ben Abbott has the inside line. And Ben Abbott gains the position into second place now. Alex trying to get the better run. They are side by side going down the main straight, but the other way round from the previous lap. Alex Rose trying to swing to the left and gain as much of, use as much of the track as he can to carry the speed through Hawthorne. Runs wide to get a good run through the chicane. But Ben Abbott has already done as much as he needs to and is already starting to drive away up the track. Tom O'Farrell has been able to gain on that battle as well. I could potentially challenge Alex for that third place. But Charlie Heath, I think, is hoping that his teammate's done enough to occupy the championship leader so he can get away up the road. So some very, very close racing for the front runners in race 3. Ben Abbott challenge getting through the grid with the slower cars in front of him, but has managed to make his way up to second place already. Arnoud Stryker and Stefan de Groot, I think, battling for position back in 13th and 14th. Trev Hummer as well, the counterpart, one of the AJR Motorsport team members, has managed to get past Daniel Abbott into 11th place. Down the main straight once again. Alex Rhodes now having to defend from Tom O'Farrell on his tail. Alex using as much of the track as he can, trying to straight line the car as much as the boundaries of the circuit will allow. But Tom O'Farrell will have the slipstream going down the straight. Don't think he's quite close enough yet to make a lunge into Tower Bend, but he's getting closer to the back of Alex's car. Through the Jim Clark S's. The gap coming down. Carrying as much speed as they dare. Is this going to be the corner that it all changes? Alex, very tidy line that time around. Trying to hold his line, hold off Tom O'Farrell. Braking into the complex. Ben Abbott already disappearing up the road, trying to chase down Charlie Heath. I think there's only a couple of laps left in this race. They brake for the hairpin. Tom O'Farrell losing it slightly on the brakes. Drops back a little bit on the exit. Will still have the slipstream, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to challenge this time around. We could see it the next lap though. Very quickly through the first set of corners. Whipping the car left and right through the chicane. And once again, Tom O'Farrell in the slipstream of Alex Rhodes going into Tower Bend. Closer this time around. But not close enough. Or is he? The back steps out on Alex's car. They both turn in at the correct moment and keep their pace through Tower Bend. Aaron Large in a good position behind him in 5th. Very respectable position for him. A couple of seconds ahead of Roy Grassi. And then Gavin Ranson behind them as well. Daniel Abbott managing to get past Trev Hummer once again. So Daniel Abbott into 11th. Trev Hummer down in 12th. Joshua Brown in 10th. Good result for Jay Van Binsbergen as well in 9th. 1 minute remaining. This will be the last lap of race 3 this evening at Croft. And Tom O'Farrell falling back slightly. possibly saving everything he's got for the last set of corners. But we shall just pop to, I think, a couple of other competitors. Just have a look, see what's happening. Aaron Largen completely is free air. Roy Grassi and Gavin Ranson battling it out as well, but they're both teammates as well, so they won't want to scupper each other's chances. Tejas Kapaktika in 8th, as I said, Winsbergen, but under pressure massively from Jay Brown, Daniel Abbott, Joshua Brown. Contact between the cars slightly, so I think teammates swapping positions as well. It's the last lap, so everyone's pulled out the stops. Striker getting past Trev Hummer, looks like. But the leader, as it says on the screen, is on the final lap, and it looks like he may just have done enough to keep ahead of Ben Abbott. So Charlie Heath gaining points ever so slightly on Ben Abbott, but not as much as Ben Abbott will have in the first 2 races. The final corner now for Charlie Heath, and he will take race 3 win this evening at Croft. Something's happened at the back. So it looked like... So anyway, Ben Abbott finishes second. Alex Rhodes finishing in 3rd. So a podium position for him. Very well done. Tom O'Farrell, I think, tried to get that position at the last chicane. At the last hairpin. Couldn't manage it. And finishes in 5th. I heard some donuts, but I don't think anyone's doing any at the moment. Roy Grassi in 6th. Gavin Ranson in 7th. Everyone's just going mad now. Full power. Who's still on track? Binsbergen, Daniel Abbott finishing 11th. Striker finishing in 13th. Trev Hummer... Sorry, 12th, sorry. Trev Hummer in 13th. That's the final 3 competitors. Finish the race. Nathan Birch, the last on track, in 16th place. The 939 course. On the exit of the hairpin, that rounds out the race 3 festivities this evening. Whew. There was a lot happening there. So let's just confirm what the ending result was. So Charlie Heath in 1st place, taking race 3 win. Ben Abbott in 2nd. Alexander Rhodes taking the 3rd place there. Very well deserved result for him. And Rhodes. Very good. Tom O'Farrell in 4th. Aaron Large in 5th. Once again, Roy Grassi in 6th. Gavin Ranson 7th. Tejas Kapaktika in 8th. Joshua Brown in 9th. And Jay Van Binsbergen rounding out the final top 10 result of the evening. And we've been joined by the top 3 finishers. So Mr. Heath, how was that for you?
Oh, yeah, good race. I managed to work my way up to 1st. And then I think Ben had a bit of difficulty getting past my teammate there, so that gave me a bit of a gap, which fortunately I held on to, but I could see him coming. I think another lap he'd have had me, but fortunately it was just 20 minutes, so I managed to hang on.
He was able to drive that down, get that gap down very quickly. But yes, what did it look like in your mirror with the batter behind you?
Yeah, I didn't really see much of it. I was trying to focus on building a gap when I could see they were fighting, so I wasn't really watching them, but once I saw Ben was in 2nd, I stopped pushing as much, because obviously then you can just make a mistake and go off. So I was just sort of trying to be consistent, and I could see what the time gap was, and I knew what sort of times Ben was doing. So yeah, it was just a matter of managing it from then. Good.
But yes, a well-deserved race win for you in race 3. So yeah, congratulations for that, friend.
Thank you very much.
We will, I think Ben's on mute, so Alexander, Oh, you're there. Sorry, Ben. Quickly, how was that for you?
That was great fun. I wish I could do those sort of lunges in real world. There's no risk of like damaging the car if you can go for a great lunge. But no, it was good fun. I figured I wasn't sure if Alex, you let Charlie through into like team thing because I thought okay, that's fine, and then do the best you can to hold me up. But it was great fun. Loved it every minute of it. Just trying to find the place to overtake in the circuit's quite tricky. I think I tried it pretty much everything other than tower. I tried to overtake Alex at, and unfortunately made a small mistake, and that got me through. But loved it.
Fantastic. No, it was fantastic to watch throughout the race. So yes, Alex, good to talk to you. How was that? How was race 3 for you?
A lot better than the other 2 races, that is for sure. But no, I'm really proud to be on the podium here. Really happy for Charlie as well. That's a win that he very much deserved. But my word, how fast he's been.
was it a bit of a challenge keeping him behind you?
A little bit. I mean, obviously we've got the team's championship to think about this time around. So, it's tight at the top. It's very, very tight. So I really didn't want Ben coming through. Had to compromise my race speed because of that, but eventually I did make a mistake at complex, so I just let Ben go because I don't want a penalty. Tried to make it difficult at turn 1 for the next time around, but he was just so fast. There was no chance of me coming back at him.
No, you could see at the end. I mean, once anyone else, I'm sure you would have been on his tail, but by the time I think you got to the chicane and those massive immovable barriers, I think he'd already pulled a fair lead at that point, didn't he?
Yeah, absolutely, and I know those barriers are removable because I've hit them a couple of times.
I think everyone has at one point.
That's it, and that happened in race 1, which prevented me challenging Tom further in that first race. Otherwise, I think I'd have been challenging for third there. But thankfully I held on in the last race and managed to stay behind Tom. I'm not sure what happened in that final hairpin. I think that was a last desperate attempt to get down the inside, but I hope he kept his position anyway.
He did in the end. He finished he finished behind you, but yeah, we didn't quite see on the camera what sort of happened. I guess he was on your outside maybe at the final hairpin, or what was your perspective?
No. There was quite a gap at complex, so I thought I didn't need to defend. So I went for the normal line into the hairpin, and then he came down my inside and just collided with the side of me. So I don't know whether he's attempted to pull the handbrake and get around me that way, but it was definitely contact. But I just hope it wasn't anything too serious.
Cool, fair enough. If I may, how was your race 2 as well? Because that looked a bit fraught.
Yeah, it was dicey. I'm not sure what happened because the start didn't go to plan. I didn't want to get in Charlie's way. I just wanted Charlie to go, but he was struggling with the balance. So I ended up behind Nathan Birch, and on the exit of Tower, I'm not quite sure whether we touched or whether I made a mistake, but I went around and ended up right at the back of the field. Made my way back up into 12th as fast as I could, but then Stricker went off at the chicane after turn 1, collided with me again and sent me further back, and then made my way all the way back up into 7th. So it's a good recovery, but it was really, really difficult coming back through. It's clear that everybody's put a lot of effort and practice in over the past 2 weeks, and hopefully, with the racecraft we've seen on display from nearly all of the drivers today, that everyone is as good or if not better than they are right now, because the racing is fantastic.
No, it is very competitive throughout the grid as well, and it's good to see the pace from all the drivers. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me, and I hope you have a good evening, and we'll see you next time around.
Thank you, and very well done, Ben. Very well done, Charlie.
No, well done, Charlie. It was awesome.
Yes, good racing again.
How's pie?
So there we are. Those are the top 3 finishes for race 3. We've got to speak to some chaps after the race 2 interviews as well. So yes, there will, of course, I'm fairly sure they're not quite so many as before, but there will be some challenges from for the race officials to look at. So if there's any major updates, we'll give you them next week. At the beginning of the next stream. Let's have a look at this calendar. We are in Poland by the looks of it. I'm not going to pronounce that name. It's another challenge for me to try, and actually I will probably learn how to pronounce that by next week, but at the moment it's very late in the evening. I'm not trying that now. But yes, 4th of July next weekend at sort of called Sevens, when we will begin the stream, and we shall see what has happened points wise between Ben Abbott and Charlie Heath, continuing on. So it has been wait for that to come out. There we go. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host again this evening. My name's McRae. I've never actually properly introduced myself properly on the stream, but there we are. So yes, it's been a fantastic set of racing at Croft. Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you all very much for joining me. I did see some comments. No, Jameson, I think obviously Andrex and Eden, yes, you did. Alex wasn't there from the beginning. I was informed that he was missing. So yes, he wasn't joining us this week. Hopefully we will see him again next week. I'm sure he'll be in the thick of it with everyone else as well. It has been a fantastic race this evening, and yeah, we'll see you all once again next weekend, similar sort of time. So yeah, see you then.